Everybody ready for the call to order? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Benitez,
Present.
Mr. Axiotis,
Here.
Mr. Burke,
Here.
Mr. Rufner,
Present.
Ms. Stemper.
Here.
Do we have any changes to tonight's agenda? Any special presentations by staff members or invited consultants? All right. Public comments, agenda items only. Anybody? Takers, all right. Get that. All right, reports.
Mayor,
Oh, I'm sorry, I
all
didn't
right.
see you sneak up.
that's okay. Unfortunately, I actually had requested to speak, to make a presentation. And I reached out to the city clerk, and I reached out to my councilwoman as well, and apparently the council decided not to allow that to happen. And honestly, as far as the agenda is concerned, I'm really kind of disappointed. I really wanted to address this and talk about it. I'm not going to talk about what's ever on the agenda because that's not what I came here to talk about. But I'm really disappointed. I kind of hoped you guys would allow me to speak and address the issues that that our zoning commission is facing, and not wait for another period of time. This is part of the problem. How am I supposed to communicate to you guys what the issues are if I can't even get a time to talk to you guys? I just had a meeting last night. Kevin was there, and I just requested to speak. Would have taken you guys 5 minutes to go over this stuff, and I'm disappointed. So I appreciate the time. You guys have a good meeting, and I hope we get this stuff taken care of. Thanks.
Okay, we'll move on to reports. I have nothing to report. Council, Mr. Axiotis, do you have anything, sir?
There was a planning and zoning meeting yesterday, and I'll say this publicly, I did not receive a single piece of notification that there was going to be a meeting or a draft agenda or an agenda at all. I did reach out to Mr. Rufner to fill in because of my unavailability for yesterday, but the fact is that I got nothing on it and did not even know if there was actually a meeting to be held or not. Seems a little bit concerning to me. So I don't know how I was missed in the email communications, but I got nothing, and I'm supposed to be the council rep for that, so I'm hoping somebody here can figure out what went wrong. That's all I have to report.
Mr. Acom, who's accountable for getting
Well,
that stuff
public
together?
notice for meetings is my responsibility. All of the planning and zoning commission meetings have been publicly noticed and scheduled. Those are published in the paper each December of each year for the upcoming year. I can provide Mr. Axiotis.
That's not what I'm saying. There's normally a draft agenda and an agenda for the meeting that I've never signed anything for.
I see.
So you cannot prepare for a meeting properly if there's no agenda to even look at before the meeting.
Yes.
I saw no communication. I don't know if I was omitted for some reason.
I also did not receive a draft agenda or any information about the meeting as well.
I'm assuming somebody should follow that up. That's just concerning, that's all.
Anyone have any ideas? What would police, council, please? Come on up. Yeah, you should.
Get myself prepared. So, thank you, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate that. So in regards to Mr. Axiotis, what he's stating as far as nothing being prepared, nothing being sent out, there is a huge lack of communication. There's a lack of order and procedure. Unfortunately, this has been something, and I said this the last time I spoke. I spoke here a month ago. I came in the day after my previous meeting that I had to adjourn because we don't have proper staffing. We don't have, first of all, we're already down members. As most of you know, most of the boards and commissions don't even have enough members to even hold meetings because we're missing people. But then on top of that, my commission, we have 3 members out of 5 right now. We have no staff members. We have nobody that's an acting secretary. We have nobody that's actually keeping minutes. We have nobody that's delegated to do those things. So therefore, the zoning inspector, who's supposed to be responsible for and in charge of, and is the city employee that is responsible for those things, should be communicating with me, and we should be going back and forth, and then that information should be shared with Mr. Acom, who should then share that with everybody else in a normal procedure. But unfortunately, we don't have any normal procedures, and that's what I came here to address tonight, is that this is a huge problem. And this here, I'll give you a perfect example. Just before I came to this meeting tonight, we got a draft copy of the minutes from yesterday's meeting that Mr. Spellich put together. And I give all due respect to John. I think he's a good person, I really do, but we need to have a high standard of expectation of what we're doing for the public and how we're delivering things. If you saw a copy of those minutes, you would understand what I mean. And I spoke with Mr. Novotny today, this morning. I spoke with him for about a half hour on the phone. I sent out a very long form email, and I think all of you received that. I hope all of you received that because I tagged everybody in it. Mayor, I tagged you in it as well, so I believe you should have received it, and kind of addressed a lot of the issues that we're facing. We don't have proper staffing, therefore we can't record proper minutes, and the example of the minutes that we received this evening, this draft minutes, is a perfect example of that. We were given a recording device. Mr. Livian, I know you're only needed occasionally, but please pay attention. This is a huge problem.
Oh, I'm paying attention, sir.
Okay. The respect of just looking at someone when they're talking or not staring at your phone, that's really, it's not a lot to ask. It's really not. Thank you.
That's fine
As
for
far
you
as
to
as
make
far
your
as
opinion
how
known, sir.
as far as how the commissions are operating, we were given a audio recorder last night. So we had an audio recorder on a table in the middle of the room to record the meeting, and that meeting recording was then supposed to be used to make a transcription of the meeting minutes. So there's a chain of command. I don't know who's supposed to be responsible for transcribing these minutes, and I would like someone to tell me, and I talked to Mr. Novotny about this, how on earth would somebody who's not at our meeting know who's talking on that audio recording? How are the minutes going to be accurate? These are legally binding things. These things are important. This is part of the reason why we're in the position we're in now, is because we don't have good record keeping. We haven't had good record keeping. We don't have everything digitized in a format that we can easily find and locate. We have all kinds of different things because we've had different people, different city managers, different council, different mayors, all these different people with different hands in a cookie jar making decisions. There's no standard order of procedure. So now we have an audio recording of a meeting that the zoning inspector, who is not a secretary, who does not have the skill set or the experience or the knowledge or the background or the expectation of being a secretary, being the secretary for a meeting that he's supposed to be the zoning inspector at. His job is to be the zoning inspector and to understand our zoning codes and rules and those kind of things. My job as the chairman and the other members of the commission, we are charged with interpreting our zoning laws, our zoning codes and those kind of things, and making decisions based on that. We're not appointed or put in those positions to be secretaries or to be legal authorities or to be any of those things. We have very specific jobs and very specific roles. It's the same as if I told one of these guys, if I told Mr. Novotny, who's the city manager, if he was gonna miss and not be here, we were provided with some templates of how to do secretary stuff. So would it be okay for our city manager to just be gone for a day or a week and then provide some random person with a template and just say, it's okay, it's that easy. That's all you got to do. That's what we were effectively told. That's not okay. That needs to be addressed. And I came to like I said, I came to council this last month and spoke on this and tried to address it. And nothing, I didn't hear from anybody. A whole month went by. I didn't hear a word from anybody. Not a peep, not an email, not a screw you, nothing. So then I get an email, and I have all this stuff. I get an email from the zoning inspector on the 27th, which is 4 days before my meeting, asking me if there's a meeting. The zoning inspector emailed me to ask me if there's a meeting. That's a problem. I emailed him back and told him, I said, if you're asking me if there's a meeting, there's a problem. Where's the communication? You guys are in the same building. He's in the same building with the city manager. Why is there not communication? I've had John personally tell me that the communication is lax. It doesn't exist. There's no delegation of authority. There's no meetings regularly to talk about what's being discussed, what's happening, what's going on in the city, what each of the subordinates' jobs and roles are. That's not okay. We need to have a standard. There has to be a standard. We're here because there's been no standard. And I've been told, and this is really unfortunate, I've been told in the email that I received a memorandum, and that's what I came down here to talk about. And I talked to Mike about this on the phone. I received a memorandum from the city manager, basically telling me what the expectations were for my commission, and basically telling me what I was going to do and how I was going to run my commission. And I respectfully and professionally told Mr. Novotny, he doesn't have any authority to tell me how to run my meeting. I'm not his subordinate. I'm an appointed official that's supposed to run a commission. That's my job. The city manager's job and the staff's job is to do their specific staff roles. Now, we previously had our city clerk was a full-time city clerk. She was here in the building, and I'm referring to Kathy King, which everybody here knows who Kathy King was. She attended these meetings, all the different commissions. And let's be honest, we have, and if I'm not mistaken, Mike, you and I talked about this, as of right now, today, we have the Planning and Zoning Commission, and we have the Parks and Rec Board. Other than that, what other boards and commissions meet regularly? Treasury Investment meets once a quarter. Civil Service meets when needed. So there's not even a schedule of them meeting. So we have 2 functional active boards and commissions right now. So you're telling me that our staff, who is salaried, who's being paid, can't show up for an extra hour or 2 a month to do their jobs? That's where we are with this. I think that's ridiculous. Now, the impasse that we're at right now is that there's no legal requirement, there's nothing in our charter, there's nothing in our administrative code that I've been able to find that states what I'm claiming, that says that these things should be required, that these subordinates and these individuals should be participating in these boards. There's also nothing that says that Mike can tell me to appoint a secretary of my own commission, or that we have to do those jobs, or extra roles, or wear extra hats. So we're in an impasse right now. I think that it makes perfect logical, common sense, morally and ethically, for city employees to do their city jobs that they're being paid city money to do, and that we do the jobs that we're appointed to do, which is all very specific. The city's position is, you guys suck it up, do extra work, and we don't want to do it. That's the long and short of it. And again, I don't mean to be disrespectful or inappropriate, but that's the gist of the conversation. And Mike would attest to that. This is the conversation we had. We're at an impasse. Mike doesn't feel, the current administration doesn't feel that their role or their responsibility is to attend these meetings or participate in these meetings or do the jobs that they're hired to do outside of this chamber for this particular meeting. That's the position of the city. Now, I asked council, you guys have the authority, and this is your job. Your literal role is to direct him.
Mayor, may I make a point of order, please, sir?
Tighten it up.
Oh, I'm about to wrap it up. I mean, I asked council. Council has the authority to direct and give directives to the city manager, and have him make our staff attend meetings and do things right and set the tone, set the standard for how we're going to operate moving forward. This shouldn't matter who's in these chairs or who's up there. This should just be the standard moving forward, and we should all expect that. The reason we're here is because we've had poor record keeping, no standard procedures, and no structure, no organization. Nobody's passing the baton. Every iteration that comes in here does something completely different, and nobody knows which way's up. So that's where we are with it right now. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the time, and council and staff. I appreciate you guys. I know it's probably a pain in the ass to have to listen to me, and you probably get tired of it, but I hope you really all genuinely do believe I want the best for the town. This is my expectation. This is what I want. It doesn't matter whether it's you guys or anybody else. Right is right. Mike, I told you this. Right is right. To do the right thing is to do the right thing. It doesn't matter who it's to or with. Doing the right thing is the right thing to do.
Thank
Always.
you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it.
Right.
Pat's turn, I think.
Yeah,
Report.
please.
Pat, your turn for report.
Nothing.
Nothing to report. Miss Julie, do you have anything to report?
No, not at this time.
What's that?
Mr. Burke, do you have anything to report, sir?
Not at this time.
Mr. Roof?
Real quick, and, however you want to take it, Mr. Prop's comments there. The Planning and Zoning Commission did have a meeting last night. They did process 9 requests for zoning or rezoning. All those were taken care of. And on the next meeting, which I believe is May 6th, new business on the table is projected to be the discussion of DORA. So anyone in the community that has input, positive, negative, whatever, please welcome come in, listen firsthand, get the information yourself, not third, fourth, fifth hand down the line of what other people may have fed you or led you to believe. So that'll be May 6th at 6 p.m. Be out here, next Planning and Zoning Committee. Other than that, I have nothing.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lembian? Do
Nothing,
you have any
sir.
reports, sir? Thank you. Ms. Jamie?
Yes, just
You
a
always
couple of things. I always have a report, yeah. I do have a typo on my report, though. It's not January. Can't roll back time. It is March month end, and we did close out the month of March today. And we didn't have any concerns or anything happen during that closeout. I've enclosed a copy of the statement of cash position for everyone to kind of peruse, take a good look at. As you'll note on there, the general fund does have a negative unencumbered balance. And this is due partly because of the timing in the year, and part of it is because I've now encumbered the Sheriff's Department's annual contract for the year. And as things change, we can always unencumber those balances. But also as revenue flows into the city, those balances will start to become more positive. And it's also important to note that the general fund has a positive unexpended balance. Okay, the status of that 21-22 financial audit, still working with the auditors. They did return back to the city. I don't know if anyone stopped in and saw them this week other than the mayor, Mrs. Benitez, yes. But they've been in my office, and they may be returning again later this week, I'm not sure. They've requested some additional information. I've provided that information, and they've given me a new anticipated post-audit date or release for our audit report of April 15th. And then the income tax non-filing letters, they did go out on Monday.
I'm sorry, that's the 15th of this month?
Supposed to be,
Thank you.
yes. The income tax non-filer letters have sent out over 600 letters again this year. They went out on Monday. I've enclosed a copy of the flyer that I put with those, just in case anyone's inquiring about how to get a hold of Rita and exactly who to call. So there's an extension on there that should bring right directly to who you need to speak with. But Rita would be the point of contact with anything that needs clarified or filed for city income taxes. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Novotny, do you have anything to report, sir?
Yeah, a couple things. First off, attached to my report, you'll see a page out of the liability insurance renewal, which is on the agenda for tonight. There was a typo in there on page 17 there, where at the very bottom where it lists that how many dams are within the village. It was listing only one. There's actually two, so that has been corrected already through the insurance carrier, and that has no effect at all on the policy. So, secondly, the other page that's attached, we were contacted by the Trumbull County Land Bank, and there's some property along First Street which touches the park, where Commerce Park is, and the parking lot there. It lies between that and where the wastewater pump station is. It's available for the city, for $1. I've talked with the land bank and told them that yes, we were interested in that. A lot of that area, that parcel that we're talking about, is already gravelled and being used for parking areas. People fish down there, et cetera, et cetera. So it'll just make everything connected from the pump station all the way to the park. So, been working on the healthcare insurance, working with the finance director on the renewal. We'll have legislation on for the next meeting for that, so that we can meet the May 1st. I had sent some information out previously on that as well. The Rite Aid property, I had a conversation with Circle K. They are moving forward with their plans to build a new facility there on that property. As this moves forward, I'll be able to advise more and more on that as we get more details on that. It's all still in just the very basic stages, but it is going to move forward. And I also had forwarded you some information on this as well previously. And then the last thing I have is leftover from the Scott Street sewer project. We received an invoice from Eastgate for an administrative fee. I will put together, this will come out of the wastewater budget. I will work with the finance director. We'll get some legislation in front of you due to the amount. It's over the amount that can be approved. But it's an administrative fee for the monies that were awarded through Eastgate for that project. Typically, those administrative fees are rolled into whatever monies are being used for the match monies. I don't know whether it was just an oversight or the way this whole project worked out with all the grant and the forgiveness money, if they couldn't be rolled in, whatever. So, but it's a fee that we will have to pay. And then that will close that project out. Sometime soon. I haven't heard anything from the county, but they should be getting ready to try to go out to bid for the connections that qualify for the assistance through them. And any of the residents out there that don't qualify for the assistance can tie into the sewer at any time. They'll be paying their full cost of doing that. That's all that I have.
Thank you, Mr. Navy. All right, item 8, approval of previous minutes. That was the regular meeting minutes from March 19th, 2025.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Ms. Stimpert, Mr. Rufner. Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
Mr. Axiotis?
Abstain due to not being here for the meeting?
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Ms. Stimpert?
Yes.
Pass 4-0.
I make a motion to excuse or accept his abstention. Second.
Ms. Stimpert and Ms. Benitez? Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Ms. Stimpert?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
Pass 4-0.
All right, item 9, public hearings. This is ordinance 2025-11. This is an ordinance authorizing certain amendments to the appropriations for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025, and authorizing the finance director to amend and file a certificate of resources with the county auditor. Item 10 is unfinished business. This would be ordinance 2025-11. This is an ordinance authorizing certain amendments to the appropriations for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025, and authorizing the finance director to amend and file a certificate authorizing the finance director to amend and to file a certificate of resources with the county auditor.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Axiotis and Mr. Rufner? Ms. Stimpert?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Axiotis?
Yes.
And Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
All right, item 11, new business. This is ordinance 2025-12. It's an emergency ordinance appointing John P. Barco, police chief, and authorizing the mayor to enter into the attached police chief agreement.
I'll make
make-
that motion.
I'll second.
Ms. Stimpert and Mr. Rufner?
Mayor, if I may.
Yes, please.
I just want to let everybody know that, we did have quite a very extensive and competitive search for position of police chief. And it was not an easy decision overall. There were a lot of discussions and, you know, all in all, I think the body's making the best choice for the betterment of the community going forward as a whole. So, I see it.
I'm good.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Axiotis?
Yes.
Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
And Ms. Stemper?
Yes.
Pass 5-0. Second reading.
We need a second reading on that one.
Ordinance 2025-12. It's an emergency ordinance appointing John P. Barco, Police Chief, and authorizing the mayor to enter into the attached police chief agreement.
I'll make the motion. I'll second it.
Ms. Stemper and Ms. Benitez? Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Axiotis?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Ms. Stemper?
Yes.
Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
All right, ordinance 2025-13. It's an emergency ordinance authorizing interim city manager to enter into a contract with Assured Partners through the Ohio Plan for the city's property and liability insurance renewal.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Rufner and Mr. Burke?
Please.
I just want to understand, why is this an emergency? Like, are we behind then on?
It's a April 1 renewal. By the time the renewal comes through, there wasn't enough time to get it on the previous agendas to be able to pass it and wait the times.
You're saying if it wasn't an emergency, we're without liability insurance?
Yes.
Please.
Just to clarify, put on the record, you spoke earlier about the original, contractor document said one dam, but it's corrected.
It is
It's
correct.
2 dams.
Yes.
Cost, everything is all the same.
Correct.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Ms. Stemper?
Yes.
Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
Mr. Axiotis?
Yes.
Pass 5-0. Here, this will require another reading.
All right. Ordinance 2025-13. This is an emergency ordinance authorizing interim city manager to enter into a contract with Assured Partners through the Ohio Plan for the city's property and liability insurance renewal.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Ms. Stemper, Mr. Rufner? Mr. Axiotis?
Yes.
Ms. Benitez?
Yes. Yes.
Ms. Stemper?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
Ordinance 2025-14. This is an ordinance authorizing a cost of living increase for all city employees retroactive within budget year 2025 and establishing an annual process to determine the feasibility of implementing additional cost of living adjustments for all employees in each subsequent annual budget year.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Rufner, Mr. Axiotis?
Oh, please.
Go ahead, Julie.
Go ahead.
Just to put this out there, council has been looking at the different pay ordinances year after year after year. And unfortunately, there's no continuity, there's no stability, there's no, you know, pretty much any guarantee going forward. Yet year after year after year, prices go up, expenses go up, so on and so forth. By the time council gets around to doing a wage increase, it almost comes off as a knee-jerk reaction, and that's the wrong perception to have. One, we need to show the employees that we appreciate them, we know they're good, we know we want them around. We got to do something to show them that we want that. And, you know, having an annual cost of living allowance incorporated into budget discussions, I think, is a way to at least show them that, you know, we're taking that into consideration. We're looking out for them as well, for looking out for the community. It is written into the legislation that it is reviewed every year during the budget. So if we sit down with finance director and she says, look, there's just no way this can happen, then we still have the option to either adjust it or suspend it or whatever we need to do, but we're not just waiting on the knee-jerk reaction as people threaten to leave town. So,
I'll ditto pretty much what he said, but also this is something that has been talked about and looked at from other legislators. So I'm happy to see it here, and I appreciate Mike taking the time and Jamie getting this all put together. And I think it makes sense. It's consistent, and will be a good thing moving forward. And we do have the ability to pause it if we need to. So I appreciate all the work put into this, and for all of our employees, hopefully this gives them a nice sound, you know.
All right.
Vote?
Oh, okay, get the vote.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Exiotis?
Yes.
Ms. Benitez?
Yes.
Mr. Rufner?
yes.
Ms. Stimpert?
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
Public comments? Closing remarks. You know what, the mayor would like to thank Mr. Novotny and the rest of council who worked with the real estate company that was marketing the Rite Aid. These Rite Aids are festering scab across the middle part of our nation. They're empty, they're dragging down commercial real estate values, and we're very fortunate that we've found an end use for that parcel of land over there, and I'm very, very, very pleased about that. So that's all I have to say. Council, Mr. Axiotis, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I do. Mr. Crop isn't wrong in his comments in some ways. I don't support everything that he's discussed, but I think there's definitely some issues with the meeting minutes and the recording of minutes, and I think we have to revisit that somehow, some way, to get the boards a little more functional, would be the term. I don't know what that answer is right now, but we're gonna have to have some kind of discussion on it, some kind of legislation. When I was on planning and zoning, you know, I was lucky to have Kathy King for quite a while, and towards the end, I did not, and I was not happy about being forced to keep minutes either. And I think, as my perspective as a legislator, those meeting minutes could cause us to have to pay fines if they're not complete or don't exist. So I think we have a vested interest as the city to keep accurate minutes, and we're gonna have to figure something out. I agree with him on that aspect. I don't know if I agree with needing the city manager or the law director at every meeting. I think that can be handled differently, but I do agree that think getting the meeting minutes situated and transcribed correctly is very important, and we should take that seriously for any of our boards, so, thank you.
Pat, you have anything?
I just want to welcome Chief Barco to the police department. It was interesting, people are saying, well, why do we need a police chief? Shouldn't we hire the officers first? You know, I'm thinking, come on, you know, like you have a classroom of kids, oh, now we gotta go find a teacher. You know, I mean, to me, it's the same thing, you know, you need somebody to be the leader and then hire the people. That's my take. Thank you.
Just real quick, yeah, I'd like, welcome Chief Barco. Got a lot of work ahead of you. And then just, you know, with the planning zoning conversations, I attended the one meeting, I've talked to different council, I've talked to Mr. Limian, Mr. Novotny, and I guess similarly with Axiotis, I do agree that things need to be addressed, but I'm not sure in the same direction that you are. As far as the minutes, my understanding was that they were recorded and that template was filled out, that if somebody needed a records request or something, you know, some legality part of that, that the recording was sent as the formal minutes and the sheet. So I don't think the whole transcribing thing is, that's not necessary, not the direction that has to be done. But I'm open to conversation and trying to resolve any concerns. That's all I have.
Mr. Burke? you have
Through the chair, welcome, Mr. Barco. I know you're gonna do a great job. I've seen you do your work in the past at other communities, so I appreciate you. I know you'll get to all the businesses and schools and everything and hire the right people under you. Welcome aboard. Secondly, I was gonna mention about the gentleman that spoke earlier. When I was the park director, I remember the city employees would come to the meeting and take notes, and then I believe it was a template. I don't know what happened after that because I was a part-time park employee, so I didn't really know how she transcribed them, but I know it was recorded and stuff like that. So, and then lastly, I'm excited that Circle K wants to expand and get bigger. I just thought maybe I'd see some kind of plan. Because you say they're going to build something, or are they going to use the old building, or, you know, how's it going to work? I know there's a waterway back there. You know, my experience in the background building parks, I built parks where there were gas tanks. We had to take gas tanks and lots of dirt out, and I just worry about putting tanks in the ground and a business not working out. Then all of a sudden you have a future problem. Could be leakage or anything like that. So I'm not saying it will. I know I'm excited to have a business move to a vacant building, and then, but I just want to make sure there's a good plan in place, you know, before we dig in the ground. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Ripner, do you have anything?
Yes, first of all, congratulations and welcome aboard, Chief. Likewise with Mr. Axiotis and Ms. Dempert, I also agree that there are some issues with the way the committees are functioning. I guess as far as minutes go, the minutes are not verbatim. The minutes are accurate enough to get just an understanding of what the discussion was and any decision that was made. So worrying about an exact transcription or a letter by letter, cross that T, dot that I, I don't feel is realistic. But honestly, I still feel it's an administrative matter. The city manager is the head of the administrative department, and the concerns were voiced to the city manager. We all have the emails. The city manager responded back with alternate solutions to the, I hesitate to say demanded personnel presence, but needless to say, there were alternative viable answers to every one of the voiced concerns, I felt. The law director weighed in, same thing. Viable alternate solutions to accomplish the same thing without, our interaction. Could this be a legislative matter? Absolutely. But do we want to get into the micromanagement level to that point of directing legislatively who's going to do what, where, how, when exactly? Because you're painting yourself into a corner. And then you're going to have someone go up and say, it's not my job, it's not in the legislation. So I think we need to be cautious about how we approach whatever direction we go. Does it need to be some improvement? Absolutely. Do we, as a legislative body, need to direct that? It's already in the city manager's hands. The fact that the city manager's solution and the law director's solution did not meet the expected response of the individual, I get told no all the time. I've been married 30 years, But the point is, you don't always get your way just because that's the way you perceive things or you think things should be. Have a discussion, talk it out. Don't demand. Don't walk in the door and say it's my way or the highway. And unfortunately, reading the emails, that's the perception I got. I want this. If I don't get it, tough. So I just caution council, when we get to that discussion, make sure we're not painting ourselves into a corner or getting involved where we shouldn't be. So that's all.
Thank you, sir. Do we need a motion to recess into executive session tonight?
Yes. Are you calling it, or
I would ask for, you have,
Oh, okay.
somebody up there has to call it.
for discussion of,
Wait,
sorry,
what about the other closing remarks?
we already called that.
For everyone else?
Oh, no, he didn't, sorry. No, he did.
Well, Kevin finished up,
Yeah, I just finished
Did I
up,
miss
so
somebody?
that we got finance director and
For
Yeah, by
closing.
God, I did again. I did it
the
again.
law director,
Yeah.
finance director, city manager. I think I'm right.
All right.
You're
What it
right.
says, yeah.
Mr. Olympian, do you have anything to?
Mayor, I'm kind of happy you missed it again.
Yeah. All right. Miss Jamie,
I have nothing for
you have
Mr.
nothing.
Mayor.
Okay. Mr. Novotny?
Real quick, in response to Mr. Burkett, we have seen some preliminary plans, and this is a major investment. They are going to be here for a long time. They are going to put up an entire new facility there, so.
All right.
Personnel.
Would anybody like to recess into executive session now?
Yes, please.
I've got
I would-
everybody cleared off.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to recess into executive session for personnel
And legal.
and legal.
Pending legal.
And with that, I'd like to state that I'd like Chief Barco and Finance Director to come with us.
I'll second.
Ms. Stimpert and Mr. Mr. Rupner,
Yes.
Mr. Burke,
Yes.
Mr. Exiotis,
Yes.
Ms. Benitez,
Yes,
and Ms. Stemper.
Yes. Now make a motion to adjourn?
I'll second it.
We got Ms. Stemper and Ms. Benitez. Ms. Benitez,
Yes.
Mr. Exiotis,
Yes.
Mr. Burke,
Yes.
Mr. Rupner,
Yes.
Ms. Stemper.
Yes.
Pass 5-0.
I still want to say no. I still want to say no.
Jeff, let me know
Oh, yeah.
next, yeah, read that, but